This section explores further uses of loops. When using a for loop, it's important for us to know how many repetitions we want. What if we didn't know or couldn't easily calculate how many repetitions something was going to be? In these instances, using a for loop may not be the best option because we don't have a value for the counter, so instead we can use a while loop. A while loop repeats continually based on a given Boolean condition. If the condition is true, we continue to loop, and when the condition is no longer true, we exit the loop. The structure of a while loop in processing is while test condition followed by the body of the loop, which is the code to be executed in each loop repetition. Let's work through a few examples to see where using a while loop can be useful. How would we draw vertical lines from one side of the canvas to the other side, separated by a specified distance? We could do the math and divide the width of the canvas to the specified distance, make sure that the number is an integer, and then draw the lines using a for loop. Instead, we could use a while loop where we draw lines while the x-coordinate of the line is smaller than the canvas width. The code for this looks like this. We could also use a while loop to count the number of times we can divide a number by 2 until it becomes less than 1. The code for this would look like this. One thing to notice is that when we use a while loop, we must keep track of variable values, especially those that are part of the while condition. This is why we add 1 to the count in every iteration in the previous example. Otherwise, it would never increase, and our while loop would never end. Similarly, if we didn't store the new value of the number back into the number after each iteration, the condition would never be false, and we would have an infinite loop. While loops pair well with Boolean variables, which can be used as the while condition. The following code shows how we can use a Boolean to control the execution of our while loop. Here, we can see that at each iteration, we check to see if the value of count is equal to 10. If it is, we set running to false, and the loop exits. Otherwise, it adds 1 to count and continues to loop. What happens if the Boolean condition is always true? If we have the following code, would the rectangle ever be drawn? The answer is no. The condition of our loop is that while I is greater than 0, we continue looping. Inside the loop, all we do is set the value of I to 2. This means that I will always be greater than 0 and the loop never exits. This is what we call an infinite loop. Before running your code, always ensure that your loop has a possible way to exit. Despite the possible pitfalls, while loops can be extremely powerful for manipulating and visualizing data. We have now looked at how to structure while loops in processing and some of the situations in which we might want to use a while loop. This will give you further flexibility in your coding, and it will permit you to take on even more exciting challenges.